Tonight, we'd like to begin with the timeline of this case from the day she was reported missing to the latest in this investigation. So here's what we know so far.
The 26-year-old dropped off her two children at daycare in Winona around 8 a.m. on March 31st, and 15 minutes later, her van returned home before it was reported leaving the home once again at 10 a.m.
Investigators say we know by 1:30 that same afternoon her van returned home, but Kingsbury wasn't seen or heard from by anyone after that point. Police say her purse, keys, and phone were recovered inside the home.
By April 1st, the Winona Police Department announced her missing persons case was to be treated as, quote, suspicious. Just 4 days later, on April 5th, I was able to report from a press conference at Winona City Hall. That's what you see right there. That's when the Kingsbury family announced a $50,000 reward for information leading to the location of the missing mother.
And large-scale searches were, of course, launched in parts of Fillmore and Winona counties, with nearly 2,000 volunteers participating starting on April 7th through the 8th, even in Houston counties as well. But those search efforts have been ongoing now for more than 2 months, as KIMT News 3 has been continuing to report, even stretching again into Houston County.
That leads us to yesterday, when human remains were found off Highway 43 just north of Mabel in some brush. We're told a Fillmore County deputy made the discovery.
At which point, law enforcement arrested this man who you see right here, Adam Fravel, and charged him with second-degree murder on probable cause in connection to her disappearance.
This afternoon at the Winona County Courthouse, once again, a press conference was held to provide updates on the case against Fravel. KIMT News 3 was there at 1 p.m. and streamed it for you live.
And KIMT News 3's Sananda McCall is digging deeper into this case and has been live there all day for us. Sananda.
Right, Tyler, and they do say that over 450 tips were received by the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension alone in order to solve this case. Now, just 2 months ago, the authorities, family, and loved ones joined here at the Winona City Hall to seek the community's help in search of the missing mother of two. And not only did they return back here today to update the community on their findings, but unfortunately have also closed this case after identifying Kingsbury's remains just yesterday at 1:30 on a remote road along Highway 43 near Mabel. Today, we heard an outburst of cries from her loved ones after the identity had been announced, and authorities say as of today, they cannot comment on the charges nor the charging decisions.
Also, just to clarify, the reason we are not prepared to comment on charging decisions is not in an effort to conceal anything. It's because our primary focus is to protect this case and protect the prosecution. And so that is the reason we are not prepared today to speak on any charging decisions or any information related to that. I just wanted to be clear as to our motivations for not sharing any of that information.
And guys, they also say that the cause of death has not yet been identified. Jess and Tyler?
And Sananda, going back to when you were there live during that press conference, describe just the amount of emotion. You did mention it, but just the outcry. What was it like being in that room when unfortunately it was announced that, yes, the remains were that of Madeline Kingsbury?
Yeah, Tyler, I could tell just when the police chief of the Winona County Police Department announced it, I know even he didn't even want to break the news to the family. Cries from the front, I heard people crying behind me. It was a very intense moment. And again, they had all of their papers up that they created. I know her best friend, Kitty, made those signs saying justice for MADDI, justice for her kids. Everybody wants to make sure that MADDI's name just stays alive here.
And Sananda, I know as well you'd mentioned her best friend Katie had spoken with you about potential plans tonight to really honor and remember Kingsbury. Have you learned anything about those plans?
Yeah, Jess, I haven't learned anything new yet. We're still waiting on confirmation from the family themselves. They did say, however, just after the press conference that this was something that they just thought of to go ahead and just locate to a park, a local park, and just honor MADDI there and celebrate and support and bring in the community.
All right, Sananda, thank you very much.
I appreciate it.
Now, as we continue our coverage and investigators work to build a case against Fravel, we also want to return to the site where Madeline Kingsbury's body was found.
Now behind us, these are aerial views of the site just north of Mabel. As we mentioned, law enforcement agencies have officially confirmed the remains found yesterday afternoon are those of the forever 26-year-old. And we go live to KIMT News 3's Max Haslow off of Highway 43. Max.
Jess and Tyler, I'm standing right outside of 198th Street, a small secluded road a few miles up north from Mabel in nearby Fravel Township. Now, this area was previously searched by search parties. However, they stayed close to the road, and the body was found deeper down the road near some private property where there is a lot of overgrown brush. And because it was so well concealed, that is the reason that investigators weren't able to find it until just yesterday, when electronic evidence was able to point them in the right direction. Now, I was able to go down to Mabel as well and speak with some of the residents of that town about the impact that the search and today's news has had on them. And we'll be coming back with more of that at KIMT News 3 at 6. Jess and Tyler?
Okay,
right.
Thank you, Max.
And something interesting, too, as he was talking, because that was where her body was found, you know, as we learned in that press conference. And they said that, yeah, that was an area that they focused on at that time. But because in the way that her body was covered, they didn't know.
They missed it. Yeah, they said that they had to go back, and they actually received tips that led them to that location. So it wasn't just a random search from what we're learning, that they did receive tips that led to the discovery of her body.
Yeah, since day one, the focus was that Highway 43 corridor, and that is ultimately where she was found.
Yep. And we've also been working to get a response from Fravel's attorney. KIMT News 3 did reach out to his representation, but he has declined to comment tonight.
However, back in mid-April, Fravel released a statement through his attorney saying, in part, quote, "I did not have anything to do with Maddie's disappearance. I want the mother of my 5-year-old and 2-year-old to be found and brought home safely. I want that more than anything," end quote.
On Monday, a Tuesday custody trial for Kingsbury's children was canceled. Fravel has filed a petition for custody, but a judge ruled the 2 kids will stay with Kingsbury's parents.
And we'll, of course, be following this developing case with live coverage tonight, including hearing more from investigators and Kingsbury's family on KIMT News 3 at 6 and 10.
Waiting on information from the medical examiners, so we don't know the official cause of death.
The family of Madeline Kingsbury still have a lot of questions as they learn the 26-year-old will never come home alive. Kingsbury's sister is sharing her thoughts as the family tries to process this tragic news.
Plus, Rochester police identify the body found in a city park earlier this week. The new information we're learning.
And later, the city of Rochester is looking into its medical roots by compiling historical data on the old state hospital. What our reporter, KIMT News 3's Alec Lasham, learned about the Med City's first ever hospital.
KIMT News 3 at 5. Your most watched local news with KIMT News 3's Tyler Yutzka and Jessica Bringy. Tracking storms with Storm Team 3 meteorologist Sarah Knox. This is KIMT News 3. More local news that is happening right now. We are coverage you can count on.